know I'm right. Episode 39 right here on the WG Sports Radio Network. And Nick Durst, joined, of course, by Joe Calabrese. And Joe, you got to be a happy guy. Your Yankees, they put a beating on the Blue Jays. And the real news to come out of this is, who needs Gary Sanchez? Someone on the bench.
That's right. Kyle Higashioka. 3 home runs last night, and you'll never guess whose game that was. That was my game last night, so we had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, so the Yankees have won the last couple of days. They answered that 5-game losing streak. They've won 7 in a row. They've done an incredible job on offense the last couple of nights, and they've done it so against a team that they're fighting for second place in the American League East. So they looked real good. Aaron Judge came back to the lineup last night, was very, very quiet, but he didn't need to be, obviously, with the Yankees' bats the way they are. So it seems as though the Yankees are turning the corner as we head down the stretch here, which is a good thing. And in your case, your Mets are still alive. Last night it was looking very bleak very early on there, and there was the possibility that you guys could possibly lose Jacob deGrom, and they ended up coming back and winning the game. They beat the Phillies 5-4, which is very, very big. And the Marlins are still in second place, right? As at this point.
Yep.
And I believe their playoff chances have shot up to about 80%, which is absolutely absurd. But yeah, so last night was very, very big. It went from being very dire very early with the whole Jacob deGrom coming out of the game thing to the Mets being able to come back and win that game, which was very, very big. Definitely kept their season alive. I believe they're 2.5 games out of the final wild card spot. I could be wrong there, so you would know that more than I would. But yeah, so last night was very, very good in 2 different ways for the both of us.
Well, deGrom, he's healthy. That's the good thing. But Joe, I think this kind of ended his Cy Young chances. I think a two innings, 3 earned runs and 1 strikeout. I think that's going to hurt him overall with the final stats. What do you think about that?
I think at this point he's a lock to finish in the top 2. I really don't think that there is the only other guy I could see finishing ahead of him right now is just Yu Darvish, and his situation in Chicago is very, very much different than deGrom's situation with the Mets. At this point, what deGrom has become to the NL Cy Young Award is what Mike Trout is to the American League MVP. He's the best player at his position in baseball. He's going to be in the top 2 or 3 in every major statistical category, year in and year out. So we'll see what happens. I don't think last night really truthfully hurt him too much. I think if anything, with the way that he got hurt last night and with the traction that with the way he got pulled out of the game last night, the traction that it got on Twitter, I know a lot of people were discussing, the Mets and how bleak it would be if he were to miss the rest of the regular season. So I think it kind of put him back on a lot of people's radars about just how important and how good he is to this team. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Mets the Mets are 2.5 out, and the deGrom will make probably 1 or 2 more starts. But right now, looking at things, I think as far as ERA goes, Bauer and Darvish now topping deGrom. That's because obviously deGrom gave up three runs in 2 innings. But when you're looking at strikeouts, deGrom still has the lead there. Actually, Bauer passed him 83, but deGrom would have been ahead on that. Darvish is 79. Right now, earned runs, they're all very close. ERA, Darvish has the advantage. So I think right now, Darvish probably wins the Cy Young, but do not count out Dinelson Lamet on the Padres, the San Diego Padres. Very strong pitching performance by him recently against the Dodgers, so got to keep an eye on him. And there's a lot of things to keep an eye on. Of course, we got the MLB playoffs coming up. We got the big NFL weekend. So why not bring on an expert when it comes to betting? And that is going to be our guy, Jason Radowitz. We know him from our buddies over at American Betting Experts. Jason, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're good. Thank you for coming on. We really, really appreciate this. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of stuff to talk about week 2. As Nick chimed on, we're going to touch on some picks for the MLB playoffs down the line. And we have a huge game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight in the NBA. So a lot of things happening right now, coming out of the whole summer without not having sports and COVID, and all of a sudden this September has given us all 4 major professional sports to look at. And with that, we've been discussing some betting on this show. We've done it on our stream for Sundays for Landry Football. So we're really, really excited to have you on. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I just want to
got some questions.
I just want to let everybody know, Jason, he's one of the experts in the country right now when it comes to betting. So if you are inclined to listen to his advice, head on over to nj.pointsbet.com. That's nj.pointsbet.com. Sign up and select the state that you're in. So this is probably, if you're listening to us, may have fans in Illinois, Indiana, or over here in New Jersey, or whatever it may be, enter the promo code, all caps, okay? And no spaces, one word, free cash. So that's FREECASH, all caps. And that's a little exclusive offer that American Bet Experts are providing our listeners. So go head over to nj.pointsbet.com and enter the promo code free cash, and you'll be able to cash in with American Betting Experts. So, Jason, once again, we're really excited to have you here. Why don't you give our listeners a little bit of your background and how you gained such an amazing following on Twitter, really making your dent in the gambling world?
Yeah, so I was always into sports writing when I was younger. Back when I was in high school, I would write for my own site. It was called NewYorkSportsWorld.com. And from there, I kind of tried to live tweet every Mets game, every out, every hit, all that I used to tweet out on my Twitter page. And I got a big following from New York sports fans, especially Mets fans, that were really interested in what I had to offer, because a lot of people during the weekends or even weekdays when there were games on and they couldn't watch it, instead of going onto the MLB app, they would actually just go to my Twitter and just follow the feed. I was like the play-by-play guy. I was like Gary Cohen on Twitter. It was phenomenal. But I obviously once I went to college, I started to get a life and couldn't watch every Mets game and couldn't tweet every play. But since then, I've been active on Twitter. As New Jersey became legal for sports betting, that was something that really intrigued me, because I was a big guy into, number one, writing about sports. I was always very knowledgeable about it. But 2, I love the analytics part of it. So when I was in college at the University of Hartford, with their basketball program, I became a manager there, did some analytics for them, and also became a graduate assistant coach for the team for a year, which was our winningest program in team history when I was the graduate assistant helping with analytics and different numbers. And now University of Hartford, we, last year, I'm not part of the team anymore, but I still view it as we. But yeah, we went to the American East Championship last season versus Vermont until the pandemic and the coronavirus took it away from us. But Hartford has been the home for me and really helped me with learning about sports and just the analytics side of it. I got more involved with the numbers aspect of sports, and ever since then, I kind of got really involved with sports and numbers, and I've always really understood sports at a premium level. And so now we're here, writing and talking about sports and betting and looking at the analytical side to give people an edge, the best you can. Of course, it's really hard to get an edge when it comes down to sports betting, and it's not easy at all. But if you can get a couple more wins and losses, you'll be ahead and be profitable, and that's what you want to be at the end of the day.
So, Jason, what sport do you think is the easiest to bet on, and what would you say is the hardest?
That's so hard, because if you look like the MLB, it's every day, and you have different pitchers going. So while it's good, a team is really hot right now, then they have to go up against a guy like Jacob deGrom, and they're not hot anymore. So baseball, it's really fun because it's every single day, and that helps with momentum and whatever. But then there's different pitchers. When you go to like the NFL, for example, obviously just one game per week. So again, there's not too much data because they're only playing 16 games in a regular season. And of course, this season we didn't even get preseason. So there's not much data there for the NFL, but it's a little less action, and you're really just focused on one game per week instead of focusing on, dozens and dozens of games in the MLB for a certain week. So, everything has their ins and outs, their goods and their bads. The NBA seems like the hardest because it just kind of feels like sometimes teams just take off from games. I mean, we can talk about how the Nuggets just beat the Clippers. That was crazy how the Clippers lost 3-1 in the playoffs in the series. I don't think we'd ever see that in other sports, compared to the NBA, especially with a team like the Clippers who just traded, 5 first-round picks for Paul George, who just absolutely looked terrible in the entire series. And even Kawhi Leonard didn't look great in that series either. So,
Kawhi choked. And Joe, nobody saw that coming except me and you. We on this show,
right?
We said the Nuggets, and Joe, I'm thinking you should probably take Nuggets money line game 1 versus the Lakers.
Oh, I am. I'm gonna ride that momentum. So, Jason, just a quick aside. Nick and I have had obviously had guests on, throughout the course of this podcast over the past 6 months or so, and me and Nick, obviously we're long-suffering Knicks fans, which is, par for the course here. But when we did our NBA playoffs preview, right as everything was starting to get going again, the two teams that Nick and I liked, so I gave out a big team in the East. I gave out the Miami Heat. I thought they really had a chance to get to the finals. And Nick has been on the Denver Nuggets for a really long time. And as it stands right now, those two calls look pretty good right now. So Nick and I, we're going to continue riding the momentum here. I felt like both franchises heading in were definitely a little undervalued. I think a lot of people were enamored with the Bucks and Giannis and coming off of last year's disappointment, and obviously that didn't work out this year. I think a lot of people were enamored with the Clippers and the flash of the two moves, not realizing that they needed some chemistry. And unfortunately, Denver's chemistry in that series, in their first two series, basically overrode the other team, and they were able now to get to the conference finals. And I think it's the same thing with the Lakers. I mean, the two best players in the series are definitely on the Lakers, right?
No,
but
Jokic is
Denver
so much better than
mostly,
Anthony Davis. So much better.
I think they're about even. I would say even. But I think LeBron definitively is obviously the best player in the series.
Right.
But Denver has everything else going for them. Denver has a better balanced starting five. They have a deeper bench. They have better two-way players. And you could arguably say they have the better coach right now.
How good would Porter have been on the Knicks instead of Kevin Knox? And this is a knock on Knox.
That's rough. The Knicks missed Donovan Mitchell for taking Frank Ntilikina instead, and they missed Michael Porter because they took Kevin Knox instead. So,
and they missed Ja Morant and Zion Williamson because they had to get a third pick. R.J. Barrett doesn't even make the second team all rookie team. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but he'll be better next year. He was on a bad situation. But yeah, so I mean, again, like me and Nick, we're not huge NBA guys, but we pretty much had a really good pulse of the scenarios that were going on and heading into the NBA playoffs. So, but yeah, you're right. It's very, very tough, I think, to bet the NBA over the course of the whole season because I think load management has now definitively become a thing. Every 6, 7, 8 games or so, a star player will either play a limited amount of the game or maybe not even play the game at all. And we saw this start really with the San Antonio Spurs with Greg Popovich. He would always rest his guys, especially on the second game, the back-to-backs, and it became a problem for the league. The league started scolding them and doing that, and you're 100% right, Jason. It's just very, very hard.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is with the NBA, it's there's just a lot. A lot of times the lines are just kind of. They're right on the money, and I don't know. You'll probably see it, but the best way of going about the NBA is definitely live betting.